The Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Real Doctor Who fans with real Doctor Who opinions.
So it'll be kind of interesting to see if there's any snafus or incidental misses that occur.
Hello and welcome to the Doctor Who Podcast. I'm your host, Brett, and today in episode 347 of the podcast, I believe we are going to be concluding this story arc, which has been the drama surrounding the Big Finish website, their failed regeneration of the website and app. So it has been quite a journey. It actually started off with me covering it in episode 339. Please go down and listen to that if you'd like to. There's lots of hope and optimism there. And then, of course, we've had the continuing saga of what we currently have been experiencing. And we're going to conclude this drama with this podcast. So we'll be kind of re-diving into what went wrong, how fans have reacted, and what this means for the future of the Big Finish website / app, as well as I think some fandom. So whether you've been following this saga closely or are just catching up, stick around as I will dissect the aftermath of the digital regeneration that has gone awry. And I will conclude it with this one until about a year from now when we decide to, do the coda of the Big Finish website snafu. So with that being said, lots of stuff going on, and I do want to first start off with the whole discussion of drama farming. This is not this podcast. I do not like drama farming. I do not like, bringing up things and ragging on things for the sake of over sensationalizing things. I think, and what I like about the podcast is to discuss and, my background was sports talk radio. I liked talking about it. I like discussing it. I like to look at various angles, especially when we kind of get radio silence from one of the organizations in which, Doctor Who is associated with. For this instance is Big Finish. This conversation is how I would expect if we had some sort of like comic book nerd shop that focused on Big Finish and, the kind of conversations that would occur. So again, if you'd like, we'd love to hear from you. Please email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast. DMs are open. And where I'd actually like to start this podcast is from some of the emails and messages that we've got. One came from Brandon. I really appreciate this. This is, do you really hate the Big Finish listeners group? No. In all honesty, I think me being kicked out for laugh-a-facing emoji, one of the 5 admins, I think it's funny, and I will poke fun of that for quite some time. I have no animosity regarding that. If I did, I would create a fake Big Finish listeners account, Facebook account, and join the group. I just think it's funny. In all honesty. So yeah. But yeah, I appreciate the message, Brandon, but yeah, no animosity. I just think it's funny, and I will poke fun at the silliness of that group. Next, I got an email from Ian. This is in reference to, I believe, episode 6, or not 6. We're not in the 600s yet. 344 of the podcast. It is a great podcast, best analysis of the Big Finish website issue I have seen / heard. I have about 1,200 purchases, so I am waiting for things to settle down before I buy any more. We'll be interested to know what you make of the latest Big Finish podcast, which rightly has somber tones. Best wishes, Ian. Yeah, and I didn't see that I got this message until after I posted 345. So I do appreciate the reaching out and emailing. Ian. It is, again, really appreciate the thoughts and the praise. Thank you for that. And I hope everything for you gets sorted out. 1,200, a lot more than I do, but yeah, hopefully that gets settled in. And I do have an update from Liam, which it sounds like he is kind of in the Ian camp currently too, and it is not going well. And yeah, the podcast did have a somber tone, but like I said, what really irked me was it sounded like, it was rehashing the same thing that came out in two letters, and it was very read from a script. And I think you need to actually be, and if you listen to it, they have Benji, take a knee per se. And, even though you could definitely tell that, the pre-show production, they planned, like, Nick Briggs is going to come in and it's like, hey, I'm just going to take about this Benji, blah, blah, blah. And he just said, yep. And just set out the whole conversation. And I understand, because Nick Briggs is one of the higher ups in Big Finish. It does make sense coming from him, but you'd think that there would be, I would like to have heard some more back and forth dialogue and discussion rather than a, read from a HR person type of a situation. Speaking of that, Liam did say, and I will cover this shortly, I've not listened to it, but Liam did say that they, go back into the website, and he just says it is absolute cringe. So I will listen to that too. So I hope episode 345 was enjoyable. I re-listened to it after I posted it. Probably should have cut some stuff off, but or not 345, 346. Yeah, 346. Yeah. Anyway, I probably should have cut certain things off regarding the EFAPPing and whatnot. But I wanted it to be, as well, because it was authentic. There was nothing fake about it. I was doing it in real time. And I think that there needs to be a little bit, for podcasting, for content creators, they need to, share in real time reactionary thing, because I think sometimes it could be, and I just see this on YouTube, I feel as though that there's fake reaction to gear up drama. And I don't want that to be this podcast. I got a message also. Comes from Kenneth, which left this comment on the YouTube channel. So again, if you'd like to, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have all the podcasts available through there. I love YouTube. I listen to it all the time. I have a subscription. And so I can just, basically using it as kind of like a secondary podcast app. So all of our stuff is there. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, smash that like button, whatever. So regarding episode 346, which was the EFAPPing, the chaos within the Big Finish podcast, Kenneth says, as a regular customer to Big Finish, I was very concerned about the new app, as I couldn't access my download collection. But to be fair to Big Finish, they did their best to get things sorted out quickly. Okay, I'm just going to pause because there is a lot of great things in Kenneth's email. Yes, I do agree. Re-listening to episode 339, as I will tell you, very excited for all the things that they teased about what the new website / app was going to look like. Again, download that, re-listen to my, optimistic perspective before it launched. And you're right. They did their best to get things sorted out quickly. I've emailed them about my situation, and they responded within 24 hours, which is fantastic that they were dealing with the hectic situation. Okay, I agree. That is good. I wish I had the same, and in all honesty, in all fairness, first off, I'm going to just, not take a dig, but just not at Kenneth, but at Big Finish. I did send an email. It took 3 days to get back, but in their defense also, they were dealing with probably a buttload of emails to respond to. So again, I'm glad that you got your email done in a 24-hour period. Okay, thankfully, he continues, they rolled back to the old app. I agree. And all my downloads are intact. Okay. One thing I think this is interesting because I tried an experiment on this. Sorry, I keep on, interrupting this great response, and I do appreciate it, Kenneth. Thank you. I think the old app is only going to be giving access to the downloads, the purchases prior to July 30th. So even if you bought something brand new today, even though it is the old app, even though they've gone back to the old website, currently you will not have access to it on the old app. I think that is what is going to be going on going forward because I conducted 2 experiments. I went and got the free excerpt of the Death and Life of River Song, free because free 99 is a fantastic thing. And I went to go download it because, again, it did come out in August. And when I went to refresh the app, it stalled. It never refreshed, never reloaded. It just sat there with the spinning wheel of death at the very top of it. So then I decided to go and buy a Torchwood release that I wanted with Yento that came out. What was it, May? And $7.99, whatnot. And I picked that up, hit refresh. Still nothing went on. So I think currently all previous purchases, and this is just my speculation because I did 2 experiments and this is what happened. Free thing that came out in August of 2024 never showed up on my Big Finish app. So, and then something that I purchased, now, but was released, May of 2024, still hasn't uploaded, still hasn't refreshed because the app, I think, is struggling. I think the only thing that you will have access to in the old app will be the releases that occurred prior to the new website. Now, did it show up in the new app? That is the question. And currently, as it's sitting there, updating. Now, it says I have 813 titles, but I'm getting the spinning wheel of death with nothing. So currently, the new app, I have no access to, even to the 2 things that I downloaded the other day. So again, everything's not perfect. I think currently, right now, as Big Finish fans, if you purchase something now and you have access to it now, the first thing that you need to do is download it to your computer and upload it to iTunes. I think that is currently the only way, and I'm going to guess that that is the only way that you're going to be able to get access to recent purchases until the actual new app and new website is finally updated. I don't know that for sure. That is just my guess because, again, one of my criticisms is the lack of, transparency. Now, they did apologize, which Kenneth did, and also Ian did mention, very somber, did apologize twice. Well, 3 times if you count the podcast. However, I just think that they're just restating and saying the same thing over and over again. So Kenneth continues, yes, it was a major slip up, but nobody died. Yes, sometimes Doctor Who fans can be such demanding drama queens and need to chill out and allow things to get sorted. I agree. I've said this on numerous occasions throughout this entirety of this, from episode 339 of our podcast up until this one. I feel as though you're right. I don't need Demons of Red Lodge. I don't need Lurkers at Sunlight's Edge because I'm not going to re-listen to those anytime soon. In fact, you could almost say, why are you so irked about some of the things that are occurring? Because Brett, when was the last time that you listened to all of Doom Coalition? When was the last time that you re-listened to, Jubilee? And I will say, in all honesty, it has been a while since I listened to it. And you're right, it will get sorted out. Nobody has died. It is just one of those things that, again, this podcast is done by fans for fans. What people at a comic book store / nerd store would be talking about with each other if we met in person. Well, I'm a massive introvert minus being on this podcast. So, even if such, shop existed, I probably wouldn't be seen there. But I think it is just the worry and shaking of people's confidence in Big Finish that I think is the bigger deal. And again, I fully believe everything will be taken care of. But until then, and again, just to restate, and I don't mean to be beating a dead horse, could we have had some further talk on this whole thing? It seemed to me, and this is going back to August 1st, it seemed to me that there was some joking about the whole thing. One of the tweets was, what will happen first? The website will be up, or the person who is the IT person's dinner will be eaten by the IT person. And it was a vote. I think that was a poor taste in situation because of the lack of transparency. And I think one of the better things that, for better, for worse, not saying that, this is a drama farming right here, but in order to have a actual conversation and listening and venting to people venting their frustrations, I think that is what needs to have happened. And that's what I wanted to have happen with the Big Finish website, podcast, not somewhat reading Jason A. Guillory's mixture of his two apology letters. So anyway, Kenneth continues. Sometimes, I read that. They died. They did send out an apology letter, but beyond sacrificing their grandma at the altar, what else could they do? How about their grandpa? Pet dog? Just kidding. Again, you were completely right. I think they have handled a terrible situation really well, and I'm sure things will settle down quickly. Now, this is where I kind of disagree a tad bit, but it's okay. I agree. They did handle a terrible situation kind of well. Like I said, I think that there needed to be a tad bit more transparency. There's still so many things that we don't know. And I think as people who have helped keep the lights on at Big Finish for so many years, myself, Liam especially, and it sounds like Ian also, like I think some explanation is deserved. Not saying that the Johnny Come Lately crowd doesn't deserve the same explanation, but the people who've been there since the early days, I think are owed just a little bit. But he says, so let's all just chill out a little. Okay. And maybe consider buying the CDs in the future if you're so concerned about losing your collection. And, think emoji. I agree. I wish I could buy CDs. That was all that I bought in, from 2011 on to about 2016 when, and I know it's no big, I can't remember, it's 2016, 2015, but it was no fault of the Big Finish, but the VAT fee massively increased. And I had to go from everything from being physical owned to digital. And then what I would do is if I really wanted it physically, I was able to get it from the book depository store that was on Amazon. Amazon has since kind of made it harder for people to sell their items and stuff like that. Their catalog that they've pre-ordered on Amazon, and then plus with the limited supply of CDs, now everything has gone up in price remarkably. So yes, I do agree. I wish I had them on CDs. I've constantly thought about, burning them to CDs just in case, because you know what? I'm not paranoid. I just know people are out to get me. But I digress. Anyway, Liam told me to start listening to the Big Finish podcast from minute 1744 because there is some information that is discussed here. So I've not listened to this. Again, just going to go whatever.
As you know, Benji and I have been away, so there's a metaphorical pile of mail stacking up. So let's start opening the backlog in listeners' emails.
All right, let's just scrub ahead.
Yeah, he lives in the virtual post office and drives a
virtually
virtual
a postman.
Okay, well, all right.
Right, for sore eyes. Hello, Benji and Nick. Just wanted to send you some positivity about the new website and app in case you were feeling overwhelmed by the moaners.
What? Okay, so I do appreciate the positivity, but overwhelmed by the moaners. There's there's no accidental. This was done intentionally. This email was being read now for obvious reasons. It was hand selected. Okay, bravo for okay.
And I just want to say there, to the word moaners, I get it, but also totally understand why a lot of people
I
are very
wouldn't say
strong
they were
views,
moaners at all. I think they had every right to say everything.
Finally, where was this? Where was this in the early 3 minutes stuff? Where was that?
They said.
Absolutely agree. Yes, there are issues, but it's clearly a far superior product, and the new design looks fantastic.
I agree. If you go listen back to episode 339 of the Dr. Alhambra podcast, I was raving about the design. I was raving about the layout. I was raving about the bundles and sales stuff. I am all for this. I am.
The design was nice, I thought. The design was nice. It was potentially a superior product.
Okay. I like that line. It was potentially a superior product. That was funny.
As we know, a lot of Doctor Who fans find change hard. In the past, I've always taken advantage of your CD bundles, and I was a little disappointed that it has gone.
Okay, I strongly disagree with this listener email. I love the future bundle options. Like this is, that makes me so excited for this future Big Finish podcast. I like that I'm not hamstrung by, having to buy 7th Doctor Part A and Part B for a bundle. I'm glad that I could get a 7th Doctor Part B and the 2nd Doctor bundle instead of having to get Part A and the 1st Doctor bundle, for example. I am all for that.
However, I've since taken advantage of the new system to pick up a bunch of random CDs at 17% off. I'm still not completely sold on your single release / split apart box sets. To me, it feels like a step away from sustainability with all the...
Ooh, a step away from sustainability. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh my word. I like this email. This is a fantastic email.
extra packaging and carbon footprint due to the logistics, plus extra cost to the customer per release.
Okay, so I will agree with that. As I looked at before the new website went down, I did, throw all the pre-orders from the new stuff in, and I believe it would have cost me around $700, $800 for all of the, classic Doctors 2025 stuff plus the individual shipping. Yes, you are right. That is absolutely correct. I even did that with the 13th Doctor one, where I believe it came to about $84 or something like that, 90 something for me. And then the shipping fee was about 60-ish. So almost $1 per, for mail. Yeah.
Oh, I guess this email isn't 100% moan free. Sorry. Anyway, to reiterate, website is going to be great. Love the app already. Well done for bucking up. All the best.
Love the website. Let's see. Let me see if it's the new one is. Hey, it finally responded. It just took 30-ish minutes to respond. Not too shabby. I won't shake a stick at that. Oh wait, yes I will. But anyway, how'd that happen? Purchased? Huh? I went from having 813 to now 812 on my app. How? And okay, so FYI, and that's exactly what I thought. The experiment that I did, the free River Song, Life of, Death of, whatever, and also the Torchwood one that I did buy from May of this year did not show up on either apps. So I knew the new app probably was not going to be working until the new website got up. But I think that's currently where we're at. We are going to have to listen to all of the new releases, load them up on iTunes, listen up to our phone instead of using the app. And you know what? The app for me has been such a convenience factor because I rarely sync up my phone with my computer, but I don't need to do that with iTunes anymore, which again, previous complaint, not a fan of that. But yeah.
Best, Paul.
Oh, well, thanks for writing in, Paul. I mean, as I mentioned before, and Benji mentioned it too, I don't think it's fair to call people moaners at all.
Agreed. They're called fans who are passionate. Like fans that are compassionate, right? Right, Liam, right? I mean, what else do you have to say about that? Ooh, that was interesting. All right.
That moaning, it sounds like it's unjustifiable comment, and it isn't,
That's what fans do. That is what fans do. Regardless of whether you love the 15th Doctor or not, don't like the 15th Doctor or the 13th Doctor or whatnot, that is what fans do. If they are not passionate about something, they're either just moaning for money, which, if they are successful about that, I wish I had that kind of inner drive to be able to do that. But anyway, yeah.
Site didn't work. And, and people were right to point that out. And as I've said, we're massively sorry. And personally, I feel really embarrassed about it. It's just...
Where was this actual legitimate... unread, and maybe this was also used so that they could bring this up and not sound like they are wooden. I like this more than the first 3 minutes of, well, not the first 3 minutes, but from like minute 4 minutes 30 something seconds to about minute 750 or something like that.
We should have done better. And I don't, and maybe some Doctor Who fans, it's a sort of joke, isn't it, that people say that they don't like change, but the change has to be good, doesn't it? And this change wasn't good. It went wrong. And so I wouldn't allocate any criticism to anyone or say, oh, this is because you don't like change. It's not, I find change difficult, but if the change...
I agree. So do I. And I think that's what we're not only struggling with, but it was a surprise change. It came like with little to no information and little or no it just was dropped on us. And I think that is the struggle of the change.
is good, you get used to it eventually. But here, the change was potentially good, but didn't deliver, and that's why we've taken it away to make it better and bring it back later.
I would say, I think, like all these things, everything was done with the best intention to make it an experience.
Again, exactly what Kenneth said. The intention was not to screw the customers over. Because of what happened though, you do have a worry of faith and trust issue. But again, they are trying to make it right. And again, I have to commend them.
A better experience for people, and I guess just sometimes things don't quite work out, do they?
Well, we've really got to learn from
absolutely.
this, and I know that we are, and I know that Jason's intent on that as well. I think, folks, you've definitely got an idea of how all these emails are going to go.
All right. Color me intrigued now.
Here we go. Another one. This was called New App and Website Complaint. Hi, Big Finish. Just sending a note of complaint regarding the poor implementation of the new website and app. Absolutely. To note, the app does not work on my iPhone running the current version of iOS. It fails to connect to my library. Terrible.
Well, I think, I'm not going to get into that because, we've had 2 letters explaining.
My orders cease at the 30th of November, 2018, even though
Whoa. The 30th of November, 2018. Oh. Ouch.
I've made numerous orders since that date. There was a lot of trouble with customer data coming across from the old site to the new site. Now we're back on the old site. It's all there, and I'm sure you can all access it all. But do let us know if you have any problems. You shouldn't be having any problems now.
Well, I do know that Liam currently is experiencing problems, and it sounds like Ian also is experiencing some problems too.
Literally checking my library through the website, Doctor Who The Lost Stories, 8.2, Operation Werewolf, is MIA, missing in action, I presume.
I mean, I only got that because I downloaded it immediately. I don't think it would be there if I did not do that.
Even though I just listened to it on the old app last week, I'll not bother to check further at this point. Overall, my general experience of this has been quite poor. Regards, Michael.
Yes.
Well, you're absolutely right. Poor, I think, is generous. Yeah. So sorry about this. I think it's worth us reading these out to, make it.
This is what it should have been. What was with that? Okay, I really feel kind of embarrassed for myself on episode 346 now because I only listened to the initial discussion of it. Because if you go to the Big Finish website, I'm going to go to it right there. I'm going to look at what it says regarding the podcast because, again, I can only go by with what they tell me. So the synopsis for the podcast is Nick and Benji present the chat website issues. That is what they led off with initially. Then behind the scenes, Andromeda tease the trials of the Time Lords. Also available, Susan's War, Family Ties, the Randomoid Selectron features offering 25% reduction on the selected release. Just click buckle up, whatever. This is what they needed to do. The red letter that Nick Briggs reread, repurposed. They took Jason Head Guillory's 2 apology notes, threw it into ChatGPT, and asked him to create a brand new one. That was garbage. This right here is what you lead off with. This right here. Not all the silly hijinks and stuff like that. This right here. Fans' reaction. This is what people of the Big Finish podcast want to listen to. I turned it off after minute, 8, 9 or something like that, because they went into goofiness. No, this is what you do. I feel embarrassed that I stopped, but in all honesty, the synopsis did not let me believe that there was going to be any further discussion surrounding the issue whatsoever. It was just, yeah. This is what you do. This is what it should have been led off with. And then you could have gone to stay tuned for, some this, some that, whatever.
Clear to everyone that we have received these and we do listen to what you're saying. And, it was,
It's
I don't know what more I can say about it. But the next one, Benji, this is fairly typical as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short email, this one, straight to the point, from River Jones, who often messages in. So, hello, River. Subject website app just says, "Hi, Nick and Benji. I will say no more than please fix," in capital letters with an exclamation
Okay, so the guy is just legitimately yelling. Okay.
mark there. Sent from River's iPhone.
Well, yeah,
Sent
good
from
point,
River's
River.
iPhone.
Hopefully things are fixed at the moment. And as I say, work. One day that site will relaunch and you could see the potential of it in the
Okay, so again, will eventually be relaunched one day. All right? Sounds good. Sounds absolutely good.
nice design
One day
and the different
it will
ideas.
be relaunched.
But yeah. Here's another one on a slightly humorous note, still dealing with the same issue, obviously. This is from Mike Lacey. He wrote in on the 9th of August. He said, "A bit of advice, dear Nick and Benji. I'm looking forward to the return of the podcast, but there is one topic you might want to avoid." Huge winky emoji. And he's given us a picture of Basil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers with a bandage on his head, talking to Polly, saying, if you know Fawlty Towers, you know what I'm talking about. He says, "Listen, don't mention the website. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it all right." So, yeah, enough said. In brackets, Mike says, "Being a software developer myself, I can empathize with the need to replace aging technology that is difficult to maintain."
All right. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that are similar to that. And I do agree, especially with the aging technology and especially with the accessibility. I'm curious why if the going back to the old website, it's not fully there in the server. It was replaced. It was kind of, getting ready to be mothballed, holding on for backup just in case. And now, of course, we have this whole situation that has gone on. So I have nothing bad to say about this part of the podcast. I do wish that this would have what they had led off with, because again, this is what everybody, I'm repeating myself so much, but I commend Benji and Cliff. Who's Cliff? Oh, Benji Clifford. Benji and Nick to doing this part. I do appreciate this. Liam had a email. He's been sending some emails, and it says, "After listening to the most recent edition, to hear your comments about the issues that I myself and a lot of loyal customers have been facing with the website, I just wanted to say that the issues are still very much present and do not seem to be any further along. Yes, the old website has been rolled back. However, there are issues with the rollback. First, mainly the app. People like myself with extensive Big Finish libraries are still not able to access the purchases from the old app." Yeah, and I think that we will never get that. I think personally, and this is again me just presuming, the only purpose that this serves is for all the previous classic stuff that we purchased is going to be available. Nothing new going forward. But again, Liam has about 1,800 downloads. Ian sounds like he has about just as much. And I think there's going to be issue. Liam says that none of this information has been made publicly available. It is only down to customers like myself. So he has been emailing and nonstop, and I do appreciate that. He wants to get information out there. Says, whilst I appreciate the statements from Jason, there has been nothing since from yourself to keep the people in the loop. And all the while, the customer service representatives are inundated with people asking the same questions. Again, I do appreciate that the podcast answered some of these questions, but they buried the lead at the back of the podcast, or near the back of the podcast, or I guess you could say the middle of the podcast. I feel it's unfair that it's been left to customer service people to convey this information, and nothing has come from yourself publicly since. Also, whilst unfortunate, telling us that you still have no timetable for when this is, it sounds like if everything, and this is, from what we've heard, if the website developers have gone radio silence, they're going to have to go to another company in order to get information. Liam told me in also a post that he's tried to refresh and he's just getting the please wait spinner thing. And yeah, in all capital letters, he said, "I am so done." This is a guy that gets everything. And this is how shaken people are by this experience. You can't fault anybody for being frustrated. I think we're just currently in a wait and see and using iTunes for the most part. Hopefully the website still has all of Liam's downloads. I know he does back up everything. At one point in time, he had a massive Dropbox, I think like 90,000 terabytes or something like that, filled with audios and stuff like that. And I think he's also since double booked it with physical hard drives. So I understand Liam is frustrated. I understand many people are frustrated. I think currently we are just going to have to swallow our frustration and just be fine with, Big Finish on a iTunes account for the moment. And unless it's not on your account on the website, I think that would be the thing that would be the most irksome. Is not the app, it is the website. So I hope that this calms Liam. But yeah, that is my perspective. I'm just going to check one last place before I log off. And I mean, I'll tell you, I appreciate all of the responses from Brandon, from Ian, and from Kenneth regarding this podcast and the previous podcast. Please email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast. DMs are open. Again, hit up the whole the YouTube thing. I appreciate the YouTube's things. You can thumbs down if you'd like, but I do appreciate all of the stuff that they've have said. All right, so in a post, not from Liam, but this is a post from the Big Finish audio group. It says, well, they skipped over the web issues quite quickly, and with a lovely apology on the new podcast, but didn't say when the old app would be working. Lots of I don't know emojis. I'm very disappointed, to be honest, and I feel very let down. Double face angry emoji. So this is something that's brand new regarding the fans. And let me just pull that up to a place where I can read it. Somebody also on the thread says, doesn't work for me either. I think with those with large libraries, it doesn't work. Let's see, can't get any of my purchases on the old app, but the new app seems to be working fine aside from a few recent releases not being ready for download. Thankfully, I can get them from the web. Okay, so I think that is, according to this thread, I can get them from the web, but it's not as, and I guess this is where we're at right there. This line right here, although not so quite convenient to listen to. And I think we've come, I've come accustomed to being convenienced by the app. I've appreciated the app. And I think that's where a lot of the irksomeness is that. Let's see. Some people saying the old app is working just fine for me. And so off. I don't really mean to slag Big Finish, but this is really a deal breaker. I think I read this on a previous podcast. Anyway, let me see if there's any other new stuff. Took advantage of this, decided to make my way through the last stories. Brand new. Somebody got the Operation Werewolf in the mail. Congratulations. And then Liam put probably the same thing, the very aggravated comment. Let's see. Similar to what? Oh, come on. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. I'm going to go all comments. All right. So yeah, some people are saying, the same thing that they said, I completely agree with them. And yeah, in comparison with another company of much greater turnover, Big Finish have apologized. Yeah, I get that. So yeah, I think I'm going to conclude the podcast. Again, give me your thoughts, give me your opinions on this one, previous ones. What would you like to discuss? I think that there is some hope. There is some irksomeness, but I think going forward, like I said jokingly, you know what? This is the conclusion of the story arc for the Big Finish website / app drama until next November, just like the once and future coda. We'll eventually get a coda to this whole thing. And starring Joe Martin. Featuring Joe Martin. All right. Well, again, thanks for downloading and listening. Please like, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, I will see you in time.
You have been listening to the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Doctor Who is owned and trademarked by the BBC. Doctor Who Alhambra is not affiliated with the BBC or Big Finish. No infringement is intended. Visit our website at alhambrapodcast.weebly.com or email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet us at Alhambra Podcast. That is ALHAMBRA Podcast. Thank you.